Welcome back to the Talkin Chop podcast, brought to you by the folks over at Chief of Staff Kelce. This week, we're joined by the President and Chief Innovation Officer of the personal marketing company out in Lenexa, Kyle Baack. Kyle, thanks for being with us this week. How was your New Year's?
Hey, man, it was great. I sat home alone. All my kids were in Wichita with my wife this weekend, so it was great.
Riding solo. Love it.
Solo.
It's good to do that.
That's the exciting life of a dad, you know.
There you go. Love it. Again, thanks for being with us this week. The Chiefs dropped their second game of the season, finishing up the season 14-2 as the AFC's number one seed. They lost. I don't even remember the score of the game. Honestly, it's 38-something.
I wasn't that invested, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll get into how little we ended up watching that game. Right. But our key starters get an extra week of rest, which, as we saw last year, pays off dividends down the stretch. So as we chop it up, we'll quickly recap the Chargers game, give an overall playoff preview, talk about the AFC field as we preview a pretty packed wild card weekend with an extra game each day this year. So it should be a pretty fun weekend ahead. But first, we'll bring you with the positions of the week brought to you by Chief of Staff Kelce. Your trusted local talent scouts. We're a recruiting firm based in Brookside, and we'll bring you the best admin and marketing, accounting and finance, HR, operations, and sales talent that Kansas City has to offer. Lucas, what do you got this week, man?
Yeah, so we have a new controller position. I know we've had, 2 or 3 over the last few weeks. We're really cooking and getting back to what we know. I mean, what pandemic, right? I feel like our industry is back in action, so it's fun. But this one's kind of more in the commodities industry. So any experience with, that specifically, I think the mill and feed industry would be huge. They use a software called Agris. So if you have any software experience with Agris, that would be big. Obviously at least 8 to 10 years of experience for this controllership type of role. And then supervisor experience is a major plus. I believe you'd have about 12 to 15 direct reports in this one. So definitely having that background is going to get you to the top of the list. And a little bit of CPA certification or public accounting sprinkled in would be huge as well.
Just a little sprinkle.
Just a little trifle.
A dash.
Yeah, on the
exactly.
HR ops and sales side, we got an HR generalist position actually. Pays pretty well. 75K. Need to have experience with recruiting. That'll be about probably half of your duties. So it's a more heavy recruiting focused role than most. Any manufacturing experience is a huge plus on that end. And then that's around downtown as well. So if that sounds like you or someone you know, reach out to us. Again, we're moving and grooving nowadays, so we got a ton of different orders. So if you know anyone still looking in the job market at the moment or looking to make a change here in 2021, reach out to us at Chief of Staff Kelce. We'll take care of you.
Awesome. I appreciate it. So Kyle, again, thanks, man, for being here.
You bet.
We're start off talking shop is the first portion. So, I know, I don't know the full story, but I've heard a lot about your background, kind of where you come from for various reasons. But I really would like you to kind of elaborate for everyone else, listening in or watching your story. And you can give us a quick synopsis of how you got to where you're at now, and then tell us a little bit about the personal marketing company.
Yeah, so I graduated from K-State in 2006 and with a music education degree, and actually started working for a nonprofit organization there that worked on campus with students, helping them grow in leadership, character, and spiritual development.
Nice.
And I was working there on campus, also was working on my master's degree in collegiate student development. And so I used none of those and actually moved to Calcutta, India, and started an export company there. And in the process of starting the export company, I reached out to a good friend of mine to be our angel investor and help with the structure of that. And that guy runs a company here in town called the Personal Marketing Company. And we were looking at investing in client closing gifts for real estate agents around the U.S. And I've known him my entire life. And so we started this business and exporting products and bringing them to the U.S., working directly with manufacturers there. And in the process of that, I lived in Calcutta for 3 years, then moved back to the United States. And then he and I started working together full time. He brought me in and folded the import company into that company and the personal marketing company. So I'm the chief innovation officer there, and we help real estate agents with their marketing and staying in touch with their clients, and specialize in direct mail, but also do closing gifts. And so we've been doing that for 40 years as a company. And so when it comes to a postcard or a newsletter or client follow-up, staying in touch with past clients, that's kind of been our specialty for a long time.
So real estate's your bread and butter. Just out of curiosity, do you touch any other industries, fields?
Real
business
estate's
at all?
about 95% of what we do.
Yeah.
And so, so it's really the primary industry right now. And so one of the things that I'm looking at is additional verticals as well, but it's definitely been our
Nice.
bread and butter. And I don't see that really changing. We're still hitting such a small percentage of the market that it's, to double and triple that is
Okay.
not within doubt for sure.
That's exciting. I also heard that you guys, through this pandemic or through COVID, right? It's such a rough 2020.
Yeah.
You guys were hitting some goals and kind
Yeah.
of maybe breaking some records.
Yeah.
Do you mind elaborating on your mentality, how you infused that into your employees, and how were you guys able to obtain that?
Yeah, it was a weird year, right, for everybody, and every industry is a little bit different, right? But our industry, primarily being real estate, the residential industry, while a lot of industries took a dip, the residential paused across the country for a little while. So you really had March and April that it kind of just paused, and nobody really knew during that time, right? It's like,
How do we survive?
I mean, none of us were buying anything for about 2 weeks, right? And we just were waiting to see what happens, but then real estate really picked up, and it never really stopped, and it never in most places it wasn't shut down completely. There were a couple places it was, and so we have a number of customers that had some hard times there, but for the most part, the real estate industry has kind of been going gangbusters this year, and it's just been crushing it, and our customers have been really successful this year, and when they press into their marketing dollars, and when the times are good, it's easy to want to market more, and we always try to help them that when the times are dipping towards the bad times, that's really when you should probably press into marketing as well. And
Sure.
So, but it's easier when the money is coming in for them. Yeah.
True.
But we've been incredibly impressed with our team, and they've been working hard to serve our customers through this time for sure.
Okay.
Good.
Awesome. Thanks.
Good. Well, Luke has been telling me a lot about your new website project, and we're actually going through a website remodel right now. I'm kind of leading that up, so it's not as big of a transition as you guys are with your customer database, but I know how extensive and time-consuming that can all be. So you want to tell us a little bit more about that project, and now that it's launched, how that's going so far?
Yeah. So we just launched a new front end and back end, and for our website, and we have a customer base of tens of thousands of customers, and when you're bringing their information and their images and their logos and hierarchies, and when you're looking at scale like that, you can make mistakes really fast that impact a lot of people. And so you want to be careful on that. But it's been incredible. We launched last week actually, and so that's been incredible to see just the response from that so far. And yet every IT transition I've ever been a part of just always has hiccups, and yet you've got to extend a lot of grace in those time, and our customers have been really, really great about extending grace as well. And so we're kind of in that transition period where we're still running the old alongside of the new, right? And so when you've got that big of a customer base, it just takes a little longer to actually fully flip over. But it's been a learning experience for sure. It's been the biggest project, migration that I've managed for sure.
Nice.
But it's been amazing to see. And Casey's done an amazing job, with managing that as well. So
it's been awesome. a phenomenal transition. I saw what it looked like before, and then what it looks like now, and it's ridiculous.
I mean,
no offense to your old website, but
we had managed that website and different iterations of it, but basically that platform it had been built on was about 15, 20 years old. And so it was had been built on top of, and my founder describes it as a farmhouse that you kind of added on a room, and then you added on another room, and then you added on another room, and eventually there's a hallway that goes to nowhere, and that's kind of what our website was. And so what we're really building here is something that we can scale and quadruple in size and be able to handle that, and APIs and SSOs and all sorts of nerd talk that that I'm learning and excited about growing.
Did you guys build that in-house, or?
No, we worked with a technology company here in town, and that had the basic framework, but then it's basically been a lot of custom development on top of that as well.
Well, I'm sure coming from like a kind of a patched together website in the past, probably took a lot longer to actually get that over smoothly. Like
Yeah, you know, and part of the challenge is everyone looks at a postcard and thinks, man, that should be really easy to produce, right? You know, and one postcard, you know, can be easy to produce, but tens of thousands of postcards, you know, and maintaining personalization and lists and accessing neighborhood databases and all the different features that go into it. It's a lot more complicated than it seems. So
Definitely.
What's that website link?
TPMCO, so
Okay.
the personal marketing company, but tpmco.com.
All right,
Cool.
awesome.
Check it out. folks.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you'll probably have it down below here or something.
You know, click here.
Yeah,
subscribe.
that's right, wherever.
All right, no more guys. I gotta edit this.
edit,
What's
right.
going on?
So to wrap things up on the shop side of things, every week we ask our guests for a recent first down, sack, and Hail Mary. So a first down is a small bit of success you've recently had that's kind of led to bigger success or will lead to bigger success. A sack is just a recent setback that you had to overcome. And then
SAC cannot be COVID. We're putting that into
that's
deals.
been literally everyone's answer, which I mean it's a common one, it's
It
a good
is.
one, but if you can get creative with it, you know, we'll see what you come up with. And then the Hail Mary, Pat Mahomes style, as we always say. That's just a lofty goal that you've got coming up for this year, you know, the future of your company. So we'll start with
you mean the WASP, right? I mean, that's just what we're going to call it at this point, right?
we should call it
We
the
should
WASP.
call it the
I like
WASP.
that.
There you go.
I
From
like
now
that,
on,
Kyle.
it's called the WASP.
All right, we got it.
Alrighty.
That's right. That's
I
right.
like it. I
He
like
doesn't
it.
do Hail Marys. He just does the WASP.
I like
you
it.
know.
Do we have time for
12-step drop back.
That's right. That's right.
We got time to run.
We got time.
We got time. We got time to run. So what about a recent first down for you?
Yeah, I mean, for us as a company, the recent first down, I mean, it's you know, it's one of those Tech Mobiles, you know, 30-yard first downs, right?
Yep.
It was getting our website, you know, launched, right? And it took us a solid, a solid year to develop it and get it to the point where we could launch the beta version of it, which is what we're in right now. And so, you know, so that was by far, and that was everyone from our creative and design team to our developers, both our, you know, front end developers and back end developers, and you know, and the whole team. So it was a full on project, and that was by far our first down. That was amazing to see, and to have done that all in the midst of a pandemic, right?
True.
I mean, like, and
That's
so
awesome.
so we kind of were crazy, and we started the process before the pandemic happened, right? And so. But we, you know, to have all of that happen amidst it, that was by far our first down.
Yeah, it's a great first down.
It really
there you
is.
go.
Yeah.
What about a recent sack?
Yeah. So I'd say,
It doesn't sound like COVID was too big of a sack for you guys.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, when you said not to say COVID, I was like, that's great, because I wouldn't consider COVID a sack for us. You know, and it's I say that, but I mean, for so many people, it was really hard and it was really challenging. But for us, we, you know, we were just blessed to come out of the other side without that. I mean, the PPP funds, you know, and things like that were really, really helpful for I think every small business that had that opportunity to take advantage of it. But yeah, I think the biggest sack for us, and this just it was a small one that happened the other day with the website launch, but we've been working with developers, and there's been a lot of hands touching it, but we were going to go live at 10 o'clock in the morning, and at 9:59, we looked at the homepage that we were about to flip all the DNS over and everything like that. And the homepage that we had spent all this time developing had been turned into a blog page.
What?
And so the whole thing was completely, you know, screwed up.
Who caught it? Was it you? Or?
No, it was Addy on our IT side. And so it was right before we had flipped live. So we went, you know, live about an hour later after we'd kind of, you know, gotten all hands on deck and everything. But yeah, but that was one of those sacks where you fall back on the ball, right? You know, and which was
a botched
great.
snap
Yeah,
that you're like, I gotta save and recover here.
It was, and so, but that was, so that was one of those things that that happened this last week that was causes you to pause, you know, and so, but it ended up being fine.
There you go. There you go. And then WASP. Yeah, let's see what you got.
Yeah.
Man, so a biggest WASP that happened this year, or that I'm looking to have happen?
You're gonna call WASP to make this happen.
Yeah, you know, I think, I mean, honestly, finishing out the transition is probably our big WASP call here. You know, but in the midst of finishing out the transition, one of the things that's been one of my objectives personally is to not slow down our innovation and ideation amidst that transition. And so how do we in parallel run some of our new projects and new integrations with different vendors and things like that? The platform that we have really allows us to kind of create an Amazon type marketplace for marketing resources for the real estate agents. And so it allows us to bring different companies and vendors into our platform and sell them as if they're not as if they're our products, but basically sell them on their behalf and allow them to do the fulfillment, kind of like Amazon has different sellers in there and things like that. Cool. And so to kind of, as we make that migration, to also continue to improve the services and products that we offer for our customers, so that when they're there and they're bringing their logo and their contact information in, they're already bringing in all the other products. And so, my wasp is to be able to land a couple of those other next steps for us in the process of making that transition.
Cool.
So
that's really cool.
Well, that's awesome. One, I love the background and story because I didn't know all of that from the beginning.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing, the answers to the website and even these quick hitter questions. If you have any final thoughts, you can kind of wrap up here, but otherwise we'll switch and transition over to talking some chop. If you want to.
Perfect.
So time to chop it up. Chiefs, unfortunately, dropped their final game of the season. He's happy because he predicted 14-2.
I called the Chargers. Even though I finished with the incorrect points or whatever, I had a better record than you did.
He did. He picked 14-2, and I was a little upset at him for picking the Chargers. I thought Chad.
What did you pick? What'd you pick?
I picked. What did I pick? 10-4. No, I picked 12-4. Sorry, 12-4 was mine. And then I think
that's still respectable.
That is right. I mean, I don't know. I looked at our schedule and whatever. Good job.
They did awesome.
Yeah, they did good.
Don't seem salty at all.
We're in the playoffs for the first seed. We'll run it back, right?
Yeah. That's right.
That's all that matters.
But anyways, this game, so the freak injuries to Willie Gay, DeAndre Baker. I think we all get why we rest these starters in a meaningless game, right? It truly makes sense. And one thing we like to do, Kyle, is we like to give the guest the first take in true Andy Reid fashion of this game. So with that being said, time's yours.
Well, it's hard to rest all the starters, right?
Right.
I mean, who do you not rest? Because you can only rest so many people and actually be able to still fulfill the fill the roster.
It's 22 of 50.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard to tell those guys, man, just go 60%, because that's going to get them hurt too, right? So what are you supposed to do? But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, especially for Willie Gay, that's a big hit for us. And
high ankle sprain, I think, 2 to 4 weeks or something.
Yeah, so I mean,
similar to Clyde.
Yeah, so so we'll see kind of what maybe miss the first one back, or but he'll be back for the Super Bowl, right? I mean, so what are we? I mean, come on, why does that really matter, right? Yeah, exactly. So I mean, in the midst of all of that, it was fun to see some of the new guys come out and get some. Some of the folks that don't necessarily get the ball all the time, to be able to see some of their action and see Thompson get some fun runs in there and things like that was really fun.
He looked pretty good.
Yeah, he had a big day. He had 2 touchdowns, 118 yards, something like that. And you could tell, I don't know if you guys watched his post-game press conference, but that meant a lot.
And Pringle too, my K-State guy.
That's true.
He got a chance to show up a little bit too, which was a lot of fun. He kind of had a. I think he called it an angry run in his, in his press conference or whatever. And
he might get some postseason snaps because of that play. I mean, that was true effort yards.
Well, he had a big touchdown in the playoffs last year, right?
Very true,
that was a big deal for him. And so, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was fun to just kind of see some of those guys get out there and throw it around.
Yeah. Now, as far as the injuries go, we talked about DeAndre Baker. Did any of you guys see that video of it was a non-contact injury essentially, and I felt so bad for the guy.
I didn't actually go watch that.
I don't know. Well, if you want to, I mean, it's pretty gruesome. His knee just kind of explodes. I mean, it moves past his his femur almost, so they kind of go past each other. Poor guy, but he was ready to rock and roll. I guess he was putting weight on it right after surgery and then was back in the film room. So true testament to who he is as just a person. And then we've already talked about Willie Gay. Were there any other injuries that were, notable?
I mean, not that I remember off the top of my head. Again, I didn't really watch the second half of the game, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I was in and out of sleep watching Red Zone over the game. So.
Yeah, that's right.
I think your kids took over the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. Right? I mean, it was about 5 minutes into the second half, and my kids were like, "Can we play Nintendo?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't care about that."
Patrick's not in. So
that's right. He had already picked up the trash by that point, And so I mean, that was big. That was probably the biggest, miss of the day, by Patrick was the trash can, right? So.
Yeah. When the commentators got into that, whole ordeal, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be one of those days, right?
Yeah. When you focus on Patrick Mahomes and the trash can during the middle of the Chiefs game, I mean, but props to that guy because it shows his character and all that.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, let's kind of wrap up week 17 and look towards the playoffs here. As we look towards the wild card weekend, the Chiefs are sitting pretty as the number 1 seed right now. We get to sit back and relax for a pretty wild weekend of football up here. So now that both divisions have a 7th wild card, there's another game that'll be played on wild card weekend. So we got 2 straight days of 3 football games, which we'll kind of touch on all these here. But before the Chiefs go on their road to run it back, let's look at all the games coming up. So Saturday we got the number 7 Colts against the number 2 seed Bills at noon on CBS. Buffalo is favored by 6.5, and we're recording this on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So these lines might change, but Buffalo's 6.5 over under 52. I really hope the Colts win this game. I really do. I don't want to see the Bills in the playoffs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we're gonna root against anyone who's playing the Bills right now at this point. For sure.
Colts D's good. Maybe they can slow Josh Allen down. I don't know. We'll see.
Come on, Philip. Philip Rivers, take a.
Yeah, I know. One last.
Help us out here.
Yeah, that's right.
And then at 3:40, we got the Rams playing the Seahawks. Seahawks favored 4.5 over under 43. Interesting line on that game. 2 defensive ball clubs. We'll see.
It's going to be a close one.
Up and down. Yeah. I mean, the Rams, you just don't know what team's going to show up.
That's
they can look like the best football team.
And sometimes that's true for Seattle, too,
I was going to say, you can say that about the
Jets.
Seahawks without a doubt.
Yeah. I mean, you just don't know.
Yeah.
What's Russell's nickname? Mr. Unlimited?
Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah.
Mr.
We'll see if he shows up.
Yeah. So that's probably that line so low. I don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Yeah.
Bucks at Washington, which is interesting. They're at Washington as the 4 seed football team with the worst record.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay's favored by 8.5 points here. Over unders 45.5. I don't know. Alex Smith, maybe pull one out of his behind here.
Yeah.
We'll be rooting for him for sure.
Hey, ex-Chief, definitely rooting for him.
Yeah.
And I never want to see Brady in the playoffs.
No.
Playoffs Brady's a different type of Brady. But
I have some bad memories going against playoff Brady.
True. Very true. And then Sunday coming up, we got number 5 seed Ravens against 4 seed Titans. This is a game that you said you're going to be watching.
Man, I want them both to lose if that's possible. Can we just have a tie and they just both get hit? I don't know. I feel like both of them need to lose, but both, amazing teams. And you've got, the running on both sides. It's just, those are the ones that scare me a little bit more, especially as we look, I think our defense has done an amazing job against the run, but I also think that they've, at times we go to this prevent, any major big play.
Right.
And so we allow those, 4 or 5 yard runs. And if a team actually runs consistently against us, I don't know.
It's like reminiscent of the old Bob Sutton days, the bend don't break.
Yeah.
Which is always scary.
Yeah. So that always makes me a little bit nervous. And, and that then they pound the run and then just go long on a couple of shots, and crush us. So both of those teams make me a little nervous, even though we handled them both last year. So. And
I think out of the whole AFC, those are the 2 offenses that could actually keep up with us too. Like Titans had a better scoring offense than we did this year. So, and I never want to see
they're balanced. You know.
Yeah.
We'll come back. We'll come back to that as we get into the playoffs. But then number 7 Bears at number 2 Saints, 3:40 on CBS on Sunday. Saints favored by 10 here. Over unders 48. They actually went into overtime when they played in the regular season, so I'm surprised they're getting this many points. And 10 points in a playoff game is huge. I think Nick Foles was playing at that point for the Bears, but still, I don't know. I might bet on the Bears.
I was going to say, this might be the upset alert.
Yeah.
This might be the upset game of all of them.
Well, is Kamara going to be back for that game? I know he was out last week with the COVID stuff. I don't know if he'll be back.
Good question. It's always up in the air, right, with these COVID regulations with the NFL, because sometimes they're just a close contact, but they don't write that down, or sometimes they haven't. They don't let that be known. I probably for matchmaking and for the coaches, right, to kind of game plan that. But we'll see.
Well, speaking of COVID, the Browns play the Steelers, number 6, number 3 seed at 7:15 on NBC Sunday night. Pittsburgh's favored by 5, 45.5 over under, or 47.5 over under. Yeah. Browns might not have their head coach. Their special teams coach is their emergency backup there.
like 10 plus people on this COVID list or something.
The Browns are just gonna brown, you know.
Well, and it depends if Baker's going to show up, right? I mean,
Right.
if the Baker shows up that's played a couple of games this season, you know, and
Sure.
just done amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, if he shows up with that swagger that he sometimes shows up with.
Commercial
I mean,
Baker,
like,
as I like to call him.
yeah,
Have you
progressive
seen this?
Baker,
Yeah,
right?
Progressive
Yeah,
Shout out
Baker, I
I
Progressive.
mean, like, if he actually, that's right. It's also sponsored by Progressive this week, and you know, but it's like, but if he shows up, I mean, this could be, you know, that's. I mean, and the Steelers, they've struggled late here. I mean, so
We called
Limping
it
in.
like 4 or 5 weeks
know.
ago. I said, I don't know if the Steelers are that good. They could easily drop a couple in a row here, and look what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's like, you know, imagine if we, you know, I think next year play the Chargers, split those games, and then they're our 1st. Like, you play them all the freaking time, so you know this team's in and out. So like,
their tendency,
you know, it'll be, I think it'll be a close game. I would probably take the points there with the Browns at 5. I mean, depending on what their coaching situation looks like, but I mean, I think that'll be a close game. It'll be toss up. It'd be who shows up, honestly.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's not a stinker to end out wild card weekend, but we'll see. So as the Chiefs look forward to the Run It Back tour, you know, to repeat as Super Bowl champions for the first time since Tom Brady did back in 03-04,
Hey.
let's cover a couple questions headed into the playoffs. So we kind of touched on this already with the Ravens-Titans game, but Kyle, who do you think is the biggest threat to the Chiefs on the AFC side of things leading up to the Super Bowl?
Man, I think the Ravens are the biggest threat. I mean, but honestly, either one of those teams, the Ravens or the Titans, you know, I mean, whoever wins that game's the biggest threat to us, right? And
I agree.
you know, and so they, but both of those, I mean, Lamar Jackson when he's playing on point, I mean, that guy's unstoppable.
Yeah.
You know, and you know he had a rough start to the year, and but I mean, they're coming on strong at the end here.
Yep.
So, you know, so. It's not what you want, you know, a team coming on strong at the very end against
never
you
want to play a
here.
hot team.
Yeah,
like
so-
look at the Chiefs last year.
That's what I
Right,
always think of as
right.
well.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think they're probably the one, you know, they're the ones. I wouldn't mind if they lost to the Titans right off the bat,
Yeah.
but I think the winner of that game is going to be our toughest.
I agree.
You know,
Yep.
What do you think?
I agree with you on the Titans 100%. I think, you know, Derrick Henry, he scared me last year. He still scares me this year. He
Yeah.
had 2,000 yards rushing. You know, after that, you know, the Bills, so we would see them in the conference game. They scared. Josh Allen's a freak of nature. He's got the athleticism and skill set.
Yep.
Kind of similar to Patrick Mahomes. He's Patrick Mahomes-esque.
Right.
And so we'll see. I think that could be
I still take Patrick.
shootout.
I
Of
mean, let's be
course.
clear.
Without
I still
a
take
doubt.
Patrick.
Without
I mean,
a doubt.
you know,
but
yeah.
it does scare me a little bit. So yeah, the Titans with that running game, and then Josh Allen for the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, I agree with you guys. I would probably say the Bills, though. Honestly, like, I mean, talk about a team that's playing hot. They hung a 50 burger on the Dolphins there.
they're
who
running it
gave
up.
us trouble in Miami. They gave everyone trouble all year, and they just stomped them.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing you look at is, you know, the argument can be made, oh, well, you know, they had a chance to beat us and they didn't earlier in the season, but that was before they really clicked as a team, before Josh Allen really put it together, and it was raining that game. So their offense, like neither offense played really that well.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Diggs
That'll
is
be a
a
tough game.
monster,
Yeah,
man.
he is.
He's
He
good.
is. But
That's true.
yeah, I still think we got the edge over everyone. But
Yep.
I'm not too. Not looking forward to playing them. I'm optimistic. Like, I'm confident, obviously, from last year, but I'm still nervous. And always, like, being a Chiefs fan, it just grinds it into you. Like,
That's because we've got a
something bad's
long
gonna
time of being nervous.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yes,
of
it's
it
still in
just-
the back
it's
of our
still there.
minds.
That's right. It is. It is.
100%. So second question, and then we'll wrap up with the Super Bowl predictions. But what do you think is the biggest area of concern for the Chiefs headed in the playoffs?
Man, I think honestly, I think our cornerbacks scenario. I mean, I get nervous. You know, we've had some great things going on there, but then we've had just a couple of injuries here. You know, and that makes me really nervous.
Yeah.
So I still think our biggest concern is some of the defensive pieces there, and just some of the injuries. I mean, some of those injuries there. You know, Willie Gay. I mean, those are some big injuries, you know, to
He's really started coming on here towards the end. as
That's
well.
your Lamar
Yep.
spy too. That's your Josh Allen spy too.
Yeah,
Like, so.
yeah, and our honey badger was hurt and sick or something. You know, I mean, things were going on there, and it's like, man, when he's not, you know, at the top of his game. So I mean, I just still get nervous about him going over top of us, you know, and so, you know, but I really, I mean, when you look at our defense as a whole this year and last year, I mean, you know, they've done an amazing job,
True.
and so, you know, so hats off to those guys, and
Yep.
I mean, Spagnol. I mean,
He's-
Spags.
Yeah,
I mean,
Spags.
Good grief.
Yeah. He might get a
Incredible.
head coaching job here in a couple of years. Watch out.
Well, the enemy's interviewing. And
know, man.
everybody
I
else.
mean, but if you got the opportunity to stay, and have a four-peat, on Super Bowl here, I mean,
that.
come on, man. What? I mean, maybe there's something to that,
yeah. Everybody's trying to take our coaches for a reason, so I guess
That's
we can
right.
look at it
And our
as a
execs
positive.
too now.
Yeah.
That's right.
So what about you, Lucas?
Yeah, I'm sticking on the defensive side of the ball as well. I wrote down and kind of put down linebackers, because of the injuries. But the more I'm thinking about it, I'm also a little concerned with the D line. I think they're going to be fine. I'm still concerned more about the linebackers on the front end because the secondary's having issues because we weren't getting pressure for a while. And so they can't guard everyone forever,
Yeah.
And so they do their job for 3-4 seconds, but by that time we're supposed to be in the quarterback's face.
Yeah.
Sometimes that
You give them
wasn't
10 seconds, they're going to find a guy eventually.
Exactly. So I'd say, it's not necessarily a weakness, but maybe just something where we need to focus on for the playoffs is the D-line needs to really get pressure with 4 guys.
Yeah.
If we're able to do that, then we'll be fine on the secondary and rest up Willie Gay because we need that linebacker core intact.
I was going to say pass rush, but since you covered it and since
Sure.
we had talked about that with Andy too, I'll say I am concerned about our first game back and starting slow.
Yep.
Sure.
Knocking
out stuff, yeah.
Like Travis Kelce even came out and said this in an interview. He's like, it was a pedestrian season. Like we kind of, moseyed through it. And I was listening to 610 today. Ned Yost was on there and he was like, I remember in 2014 when we made the World Series and we lost, like we were all so confident that we would be back there that we were like in spring training kept dragging on. You're like, just get us to what matters, the playoffs.
Right.
And like,
Yeah.
beat that. And he was like, that's probably what Travis means by that. He's like, we all know we can win. We're all confident. We've been there. We've done that. These games don't matter as much as what we all know we'll get back to. And so I want them to start fast. I want them to just absolutely go bananas.
Let's
Because
put 50 on.
if you're
Yeah,
gonna,
that's right.
right,
Come
exactly.
on.
Because if you're gonna have a pedestrian season and Travis Kelce's gonna come out there and say that, you better show up when it counts. If you're gonna have that whole mantra. So
Well, and it's so hard to repeat, right?
Sure.
And it happens so, infrequently. that
2003, 2004, right? That
Yeah,
was the
right.
last time.
I mean, like, so the fact that I mean, I got to think that they're going to come out, but it's tough after you've had a couple of weeks off to, not come out flat. I mean, that's, I mean, it happened last year, right? I mean, we came out pretty flat right off the bat, dropping, a couple of big plays right off the bat.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I don't
we
think
got
we can
behind and
rely
then came
on
back.
that.
We got behind, we
Rely
came
on
back.
that
And
this
like,
year.
Silver lining, we play good from behind, right? So I
Yeah,
guess
yeah,
that's
yeah.
good if we want to hang
Yeah.
our hat on that. But yeah.
So let's move into Super Bowl predictions. Who do you think, if you think the Chiefs are going to make it, who do you think will be playing on the NFC side of the team? On the NFC side, and then what do you think the score will be?
man, that's a great question. I think it's going to be the Bills.
No, on the
I'm
NFC
sorry,
side.
on the NFC side.
You got your Packers, which could be an option. You have
Saints.
Who else?
I'm going to go Packs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little
I'm gonna
rematch
go
of,
Packs.
what was it?
I
Super
think we're going
Bowl?
to see Bills before the Packs, but I think we're going to go Packs.
Yeah, okay. All right.
What about you?
I don't want to see the Packers in the Super Bowl, but I think it would be reminiscent of, was it Super Bowl 4?
Super Bowl 1?
Super Bowl 1, because we lost the Packers, and then we beat the Vikings.
yeah.
So, yeah, it could be reminiscent of Super Bowl 1, which we could get our revenge. So,
There you go.
I think Chiefs, Packers, Super Bowl.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
I mean, I think what is it, like the last couple of years or the last 5 years or something crazy like that, any team that's made the Super Bowl has had a bye week. So that is just a huge advantage. And then
I like that.
so
stat.
I also think Aaron Rodgers has the most pressure on anyone in the entire playoffs. Like he's like known as one of the all-time greats. He only has one Super Bowl. He's only made one Super Bowl and he won it. So like he has to, I don't think he'll be back. Like, and he's the runaway favorite in the NFC too. Like there's so much expectation leading up to this. This would cement his legacy, even just getting back there. So I think he's just going to play lights out. He's been MVP. Aaron Rodgers just kind of double checking on everyone this year.
It's just going to be a State Farm Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I mean, like, that's
they're
what it's going to be.
They're gonna need a
You
new pair.
know,
Jake's gonna need a new pair of shorts, new pair of khakis if that happens.
there's going to be new rates going on for all State Farm people,
Oh my
right?
gosh,
you know, I
that's
mean,
so great. Man. Well, yeah, I'm assuming we all have the Chiefs winning too.
Also sponsored by State Farm.
Yeah.
You've got us two
Progressive and
sponsorships
State
this
Farm.
show,
I feel
Kyle.
like we've got
Gotta get
competing
you on more
going on there,
often.
but that's
There
right.
you go.
That kind of wraps things up for week 18. Can't believe we're already here in the playoffs,
I know,
but
flew by.
I feel like we all knew we'd be here. Thanks for being with us all season. We got a couple more awesome playoff episodes coming up, hopefully leading up to the Super Bowl. But whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple, make sure to follow us along the rest of the way, interviewing some of Casey's top execs and personalities like Kyle over here. Again, Kyle, thanks so much for being with us.
Appreciate it, Kyle.
Want to
for
give a
having me,
quick
guys.
shout out to our producer Justin on his 1 year anniversary being in KC. Love to have you, man.
Yes.
And you got your work anniversary coming up on Monday, so props to you, man.
Yep.
But catch y'all next week, and as always, go
Go
Chiefs.
Chiefs.